really fuck up at scale, right? If you get it wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yes, the opportunity for disaster is huge. But that being said, I can't imagine.
Hello and welcome to episode 291 of the Rockstar CMO effing marketing podcast, a proud member of the Marketing Podcast Network. I hope you're well and staying as sane as you feel you need to be. I'm your host, Ian Truscott. I'm not a rock star, but I am a CMO. And on this podcast, I chat with a band of marketing chums who share their marketing street knowledge, which I hope will bring out the rockstar marketer in you. It's Wednesday, the 1st of October, time for my chum, Cathy McKnight, chief problem solver at Seventh Bear, to make her monthly visit to the studio. And this week, we dive into Agentic AI, discuss 5 effing skills that we marketers need based on an article she wrote for Salesforce.com. But first, we need to pay the bar tab. I'll be back in a moment.
We'll be right back after this word.
We'll be right back
After this word.
Hey marketers, Deborah Eckerling here.
And I'm Keith Smith, and we host the MPN Meta Marketing Show, which is not just another marketing podcast, but the marketing podcast about all the other marketing podcasts.
Podcasts are booming, right? We love them, and people actually listen. They don't scroll, they don't swipe, well, except maybe during the ad breaks.
But here's the secret. With the Marketing Podcast Network, your ads don't make people hit skip. We put your brand on shows that people actually want to hear.
That's right. We match your message with podcasts that make marketing nerds like us perk up and take notes, or at least nod knowingly, pretending they understand.
And don't worry, because we'll deliver your ad naturally. People might even think that we love your brand personally, which of course we totally do, unless it's a veggie smoothie, then maybe not.
If you want your brand heard without making listeners roll their eyes,
head to marketingpodcasts.net and catch marketing fans at work, rest and play. Seriously, your audience is already listening. Make sure they hear your brand and not our awkward jokes.
join the conversation, because good ads shouldn't just be tolerated, they should be enjoyed.
Yes!
Tonight on NBC, Jimmy Fallon and Bozoma St. John host the highly anticipated new competition show.
I hired 10 creatives from all walks of life. They will be battling it out to see who can impress the world's biggest brands.
This is a huge opportunity.
This is the battle for the next big idea.
This is not play.
We're spending millions of dollars.
I'm so excited to embark on this adventure with all of you.
May the best idea win!
On Brand with Jimmy Fallon, series premiere tonight on NBC.
Welcome, Cathy, to the Rockstar CMO studio. How are you doing?
I am well, Ian. How are you?
I'm doing very well. And as I say every month when I talk to you, I'm doing very well because I'm speaking to Cathy.
You're so sweet.
And today we're recording at the crack of dawn, your time, aren't we? But how is Toronto?
Toronto is lovely. We are starting to get into a little bit of fall weather, which is nice for change. And all is well here.
Nice. And you've been busy, events and stuff, or is just that event season just kicking off?
Event season is kicking off. I'm home this week, and then my travel starts next week for the next 4 various places here and there and everywhere. So it's
I'm sure we'll talk about that at the end, where you're off to, and then maybe people can see you out on the road.
Yes, that would be great. Come visit me.
All right. Well, this week I picked up on an article that you've written for Salesforce.com, 5 Agentic AI marketing skills you need right now. And as you probably know, when I chat with Jeff, we have an editorial policy of talking about 5 effing things on a specific topic. So the fact that you picked these 5 things, I was delighted to have the opportunity to talk to you about that following our policy. The article is about agentic AI. So shall we kick off with that? What's the difference between AI and agentic AI? Why is everybody talking about agentic, and why should marketers care?
So the super simple, literally 5-word difference is AI reacts and agentic AI acts. So AI reacts to whatever you ask it in the prompt, right? So, whether it's create a pretty picture, whether it's, create a recipe with these 5 ingredients, whatever it is. Whereas Agentic AI, you give it direction. So do this and do that. If the response is this, then do that. So you can set up a whole workflow. It actually does multiple functions and will carry out tasks. So again, the really simple is AI reacts to what you ask it, whereas Agentic AI acts on what you direct it to do.
Right. And I know that Salesforce has been talking a lot about, every bloody vendor in the whole world is talking about how they're AI, right? But they've been talking a lot about their Agentic AI. That sounds a little bit, and I know we'll go through some of this stuff in a sec, but that sounds it's more than just being rules-based, isn't it? Because that's always been the issue, hasn't it, with some of these technologies that we talk about, like personalization. There's, there was a great mystique about it, but really some of it was just rules-based. There was no magic or anything going on.
No.
Is that similar? Do you think that Agentic, do you think the buzz is worth it at the moment? I know maybe as you've written this for Salesforce, maybe you're not sure.
Yes,
but do you think
of course, Ian. How could you ask such a silly question? I do. So
I should think about my questions before I start asking them.
Get me in trouble. Way to go. I do. So I am hearing several people, including a couple of people we both know, say Agentic AI is just a hopped up bot, right? It's the same as a chat bot. Yeah. It really isn't. A chat bot, you feed it, even if it's a really comprehensive book of information, it still is only picking up on, like, it's sending the same response based on trigger words, right? Or phrases. Yeah. Whereas with Agentic AI, you're giving it parameters. You're teaching it to do a job, essentially. So what it's allowed to do, what it's not allowed to do, how it's supposed to do it, it takes in and actually considers the different bits and pieces of information and data that it has access to. So think about an agent, a customer service agent for a big, for Harrods, right? So you have these high-end products and people using the store, and somebody, signs into their account and then starts interacting with a, let's say they call them the fashion agent, saying, I need a dress for a wedding. And the wedding is in the south of France in July. It is cocktail length, et cetera, et cetera. That agent is going to go and get that individual's profile, say it's me. It's going to see what I've bought in the past, color, style, size, maybe even price point, depending on how the agent has been told to consider things. And it's going to make contextual recommendations, right? The context, the thing that personalization has been missing since day one. Yeah. So it's really more than, what you were saying. Like, so yes, it is the next level. I do think, think it's all that. Do I think it's all that and the bag of chips? Not yet.
Well, it's always the way with these things, isn't it? And there's always a lot of hype and then it all calms down a bit, and then it becomes just regular tools that we all use. So that's a little bit of an introduction to Agentic AI. So as I mentioned, this article ran through the marketing skills that we need right now. And the first one that you highlighted was strategic thinking. So why did you start with strategic thinking, and what do you mean by that?
Because we, as marketers, we need to learn how to work with AI and leverage it to our advantage. So in order to do that, we need to have a strategy. We need to know what our North Star is so that we can teach that to the agent. And strategy, a lot of companies that we work with think it's just about setting goals, right? And it's not. You so many strategies we see have, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. What it rarely says is we're not going to do this and we're not going to do that. So you have to define what not to do, because AI needs boundaries, right? It needs that to be able to plan and operate effectively, efficiently, within context. So your brand guidelines. So your brand guidelines are the here's what to do. And if it doesn't fall within that, that's what you're not going to do. Marketers need to decide which segments to focus on most, right? What outcomes are they really chasing? So what is it that they're after from that perspective? And I think
this is a typical. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So this is a typical tools conversation, really, isn't it? That we tend to rush into the solution before we've really thought about what's it for, right? So this is what you're saying, is that you take a strategic position on this before you start getting into, ooh, this is cool and shiny and it will do these things. Well, are those things important to us?
Yeah, exactly. It's and AI, I don't know about agentic AI yet, but AI for sure was one of those things, again, where so many companies, you buy the product or, from the vendor or the solution, and you and I log into our computer one morning and we get the email, hey, this is such fantastic news. We've made this massive investment in this technology. Yeah. Here's your ID. Here's your login. Go. With no training. And AI definitely is not going to work to the advantage if you haven't had training. And agentic AI, absolutely not. I mean, one of the things that many vendors are talking about is the simplicity of building them. There are those like Salesforce where you go and you build from scratch. And I did build one at Dreamforce last year. It's pretty straightforward. Was it the best agent ever? Probably not. But, anybody who's even a little bit technically inclined or logic based could figure it out. But training is important, right? But those who it scares the bejesus out of them, right? So they're not doing it and they're not going to use it. So again, adoption is going to be low and, ROI is going to be low. And efficiency and effectiveness, you're not getting the promise, right?
Yeah. One of the things, not specifically Salesforce or their agentic offering, but, I'm seeing this with things like AI SDRs, right? Which is, for me, the challenge with this stuff is, yes, these are great toolkits and they can offer you to do all sorts of stuff. But to me, it appears to me that we can just really fuck up at scale, right? If you get it wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So I think,
Yes, the opportunity for disaster is huge. Yeah. But that being said, I can't imagine there's any organization that is saying, here's your ID, here's your login, go build an agent, now implement it so it's outward facing and all our audiences and customers see. Nobody's doing that, right? They're playing around, they're testing it, they're doing all the things, at least on that side. But it's not something that you want to learn by accident. Like, this really requires training.
I think people are doing it with AI SDRs. I mean, that's a very specific use case because I think that we are seeing companies, carpet bomb their prospect base with emails because they can do that at scale. But I think you're right. I think that we're in early days of the big enterprise level Salesforce type stuff that you're referring to. So not that use case. So the second skill, so that first skill you were talking about, we need to be good at strategic thinking. Second skill, creative direction. So why do you say we need to be good at creative direction?
Because there's no doubt AI can write. There are a ton of tools. I think that's probably one of the most used use cases for AI. And it's unfortunate because there are people, and you and I have commented on this before, where we, first of all, who knows what's going on with LinkedIn, but you go to a LinkedIn post or you read a few blogs and you're like, you didn't write this, or you didn't write all of it. Like, this is so clearly, either it's not because you know that person's voice and it's changed, it's not aligned, or whatever the difference is. So we know AI can write. But we as humans are the ones who tell the story that people believe in, right? We're the ones who add, we know the difference. Like, you and I, we can read a blog post that's written by AI and we can read a blog post written by a human, and we can tell the difference. Yeah. So the creative direction, so brand voice is nuanced. It's not just, tone and words, it's values, it's personality, it's context. Cultural and environmental awareness, right? So we need to be able to direct the agent to be able, or even just AI with that, right? And it's understanding what you want to say, but making AI understand why it matters how you say it.
Right. Because another way it sounds like this is a similar thing that you're talking about here, is that I think that to effectively use AI, whether it's agentic AI or just, as we were saying, the regular tooling, is you need to invest a lot more in the beginning part, I think. And this is where you're talking about in creative direction. So it knows what it needs to get done. And then I think you need to invest a lot in the end part, which is when you get whatever's come back, make sure that you've put the human back into it. Right.
Yes.
I think, yeah, absolutely. So that's the second skill, creative direction. Third skill, AI literacy. I mean, this is quite a broad topic here, Cathy. So what do you mean by AI literacy?
So again, AI is not just about prompting. 2 years ago, or 2022, when AI really hit the scene, prompt engineer was that was going to be the job, and it was going to take over the world, and nobody else was going to be needed, right? And that quickly, thankfully, went away. But understanding how to write a prompt is really important. But even before that, understand how AI works. If you have the basics, and I'm not talking about having, I'm not asking you to understand quantum physics or quantum content, but understand how the logic works, what it needs, so that, and how they think, right? You can guide it in the terms of agentic AI. You can guide it with the right direction and parameters so that it makes the decisions and does the actions that you want it to do. So setting of goals, right? Monitoring performance, all of those things, you need to be able to know how that works within the tool in order to set it up properly, but also to be able to read it and then know how to tweak it. Right. And spotting hallucinations, brand drift, bias. This is all still very, very human. So marketers, I think, have backed off to a certain extent. The sky is falling, I'm going to lose my job to AI. Because a lot of us are figuring out, or have figured out, that if we learn how to use these amazing, powerful tools in our jobs with the capabilities that they're providing, we're going to be better at our job, and we get to do the fun stuff, right?
Exactly.
So the AI literacy, I think, is essential for everybody. Period. Full stop. Marketing, administration, doesn't matter. But AI literate marketers are going to have an edge. They'll be able to scale the work they do, delegate better, all the things.
But also, because there's so much unknown about this, and often marketers are sometimes, we are seen sometimes as experts in certain things, is we need to be able to answer those questions that come into the team, right? So especially if you're in marketing operations, you're going to need to be one step ahead of the rest of the team in terms of what can this do for us genuinely, what can this, and what's the difference between, like we were talking about at the beginning, what's the difference between hype and fiction around this stuff, right? And how we can really use it, and how we can use, how it's relevant for us, not just relevant for the whole world, right? One of the things actually I should have pointed out, and I'll include a link to the article in the show notes, is it's quite nice in the article because you've included some links in there about where one can go and get some of these skills and what people should do and next steps. So again, I think there's a link in there that you've talked about where one can get some of this AI literacy in terms of tuning your agentic.
Oh, and there's so much free stuff out there. Yeah. So yes, definitely Salesforce checkout for all of the 5 we're talking about here. There's links to go and learn about what that is and how to do it and whatnot. But there is a ton of resources out there, and it doesn't take a lot. So whether you're, you want to listen, watch, read, as far as learning, it behooves all of us because it's not going anywhere.
No. And this episode is sponsored by Salesforce.
I did not say Salesforce.
I know,
did you notice I didn't say Trailheads? Trailhead does have a lot of them, but I didn't say it. You said it now, so I can say it.
I know. So let me get back on track. So you put me off. Number 4, I like this one. I really like this one. Number 4, you're saying the skill we need to develop is ethical judgment.
Yes.
Perfect.
So AI decisions are not neutral. They're not Switzerland, right? Yeah. So marketers have to ensure their brand stays inclusive, private, transparent, on point, with voice. Now, this is a challenge because there are many organizations where their brand standards stop at font and color. Right? That's what they talk about. That's their brand standard. It's, you know, what their logo is, what the buffer around the logo should be, how to use it in various ways. But what it doesn't talk about is, what do we stand for? What don't we stand for? What's our voice? What do we believe in? These are all things that AI needs in order to work on behalf of the brand, right? So if the AI system isn't reflected on that kind of data, then including things like societal bias, right? So we have to get into that messiness so that it understands. Then, you know, who knows what it's going to put out, right? It's also about, I sat in a meeting where we were doing some content review for a client, and the CMO happened to be in the meeting and said, oh, you know, I really liked that piece you wrote about, and I can't remember what it was, and I wouldn't say it anyways because it would divulge the client maybe. And the look on the marketer's face was, oh, yeah, oh, thanks. She had no idea because she hadn't written it.
Oh, God.
I am deep down. I went, oh my God, you got AI to do that for you, and you didn't go over it. You don't know what's in it. You may have read it for like spelling errors or something. Although, gotta say, AI is pretty good about that. But didn't know the topic.
Do you know?
Right. So it's and then you get into things like privacy and transparency and
I have a genuine dislike of ghostwriting before AI, right? I've had this feeling for decades, right? Because I actually saw exactly the same example you were talking about, which is I went up to the CMO of the company I worked for at the time and started engaging them in a conversation of a blog post they'd written. And the blank look that I received back made it very clear they had no fucking clue what that blog post was about and could not hold a conversation for 15 minutes on that topic. And it's like, I never want that to happen, you know, and I have you have to, when you're a marketer, we both
have. I mean, it's part of what we do, right?
Yeah. But obviously I'm like, you know, here are my principles. If you don't like those, I have others. But so I'm obviously, because I genuinely can't stand ghostwriting, and AI just takes that to another level, doesn't it? And as you say, you can easily present yourself as being a subject matter expert at the very top level, and if somebody tries to engage you in that conversation, you're just going to fall down. But yeah, that's really, and the ethical judgment thing I think is interesting too, because I think that there is so much nuance to learn to teach an AI, agentic AI, because there are things in your organization that are cultural that you just know. They aren't even written down. You just know, no, we wouldn't say a thing like that. Or we wouldn't do a thing. Oh, that's not us, right? Whereas this thing's really not going to know, right? So it's really interesting the level of training you probably have to give it.
And I do think that companies are going to start bumping into some of that, and not just bumping, maybe 40 kilometers an hour, crashing into that. Because again, this is where, like, so don't get me wrong. I think AI is great. I think Agentic is going to be game changing in our industry in terms of letting marketers actually market, as opposed to being currently bogged down in all the technology, right? And getting the workflow and making sure it's in this place and doing it that way. And because we didn't implement this technology properly, I actually have to code the email, those kind of things. I think this is going to be a huge help towards fixing some of that. But what I think is making me a little bit sad about it is I'm already seeing, and I'd love to hear if you're seeing the same thing, is I'm already starting to see the drop in strategic thinking in industrial, whatever industry you're in, knowledge. So there's certain things that you and I just know because we had to do it 400,000 times, right? As coming up through the industry and doing the things. And we know what makes a good press release, and we know how to structure a blog post, and we know how to because we had to do it so many times and got feedback and direction. And it's those, like you said, those nuanced conversations that don't happen with AI. So that being out of the office, although that's changing, hasn't helped that any. So I feel really bad for the group coming up into the industry and are in there now, maybe, the first 5 to 10 years of their career, because they're not getting that. So how do we get that? Maybe that's our next topic. How do we get that going in this world of remote and AI?
Well, I also think that the trend of short-termism in marketing and the juniorification of marketing is impacting that as well. It's a whole big mix, I think, and AI just is supporting that trend, isn't it? In terms of, like you say, people don't have that level of experience, and businesses are expecting short-term gains. So people are hacking it rather than actually creating these strategic plans. Yeah. And I think, so that's our fourth, was ethical judgment, and obviously a huge big topic that we could do a whole episode on by the sounds of things. But then we get to number 5, which I know we could do a whole topic on because we've done a whole episode on, right? Because you've done it before, and this is your favorite. I think it's your favorite anyway. Orchestration and collaboration. So this is a skill we talk about in every single episode you and I chat. Yes. So let's go.
Yeah. So anybody who has listened to this before, I am a process geek. I have no shame about it. I think content orchestration is the future. It's taking all those operations, different independent siloed content operations, and aligning them. It's not about merging them. It's not about breaking down the silos. It's about working together. And that's exactly the same thing when it comes to AI. It is about building the workflows and understanding the work to be done and who's going to do it. So I can't remember if I actually left it in the blog post or not. I did have a line in my original draft about, have you checked the org chart lately? Because Amy AI is probably in there, right? Or should be. Yeah. Because they're part of the team now, right? As marketing managers and directors, they're now leading a hybrid team of human and AI agents for those companies that have AI agents, right? And so they need to define and coordinate who does what and when between them. There's going to be human only work, strategy, ethics, creative judgment, stakeholder alignment, storytelling. That is human. Pure and simple. AI and human, ideation, drafting, planning, testing, that kind of stuff, absolutely work together. That's marketing agent number 1, tell me who the most surprising, the most differentiated subset of our segment is that have been growing, right? And see what comes up. And then, that's interesting. Okay, tell me more, and breaking it down, right? So doing that back and forth, having conversations. Yeah. And then there's going to be the AI only, right? Scaling, tagging assets, summarizing performance, providing reports on data. Nobody as good at data as they can is going to do it as fast and as effective as AI. So let them do it, right? Yeah. And get all of your systems working together, CRM, DAMs, CMSs, and AI tools, so that the AI that you're using, whether it's AI, generative AI, or whether it's agentic AI, is leveraging the data, all the data available to them. So it's getting the biggest, fullest picture.
Yeah, absolutely. A little voice in my head when you were saying that was when I was in pre-sales a billion years ago, selling content management software, web content management software. And I once did a presentation. I said, this takes away all of the pain of coding your own HTML and CSS. And a little voice at the back said, I quite like doing that. And so I can imagine there are people where you're just saying, it does away with all the spreadsheets. I quite like the spreadsheets.
Well, and it's one of the things, we're having this
world
conversation.
Moves on, man.
Yeah, we're having this conversation about agentic today, but we had a similar conversation about generative AI and creative a couple of years ago, right? So again, some of the creative professionals, and God bless them, because I couldn't do the work they do. They are essential, and it's amazing the work they do. We're like, oh my God, we can't use AI, blah, blah. And then they started looking into it. It's like, what? I never have to do another version, like 47 versions of what I created for a marketer, because they can do it themselves. Yeah. Oh, sign me up. Right. Like it's what it takes off your plate. And that's what I think, once marketers realize all of the bits and bobs that AI and Agentic can remove from their plate so they can actually do the marketing work. Yeah. I think that's when they start going,
oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's absolutely. Those were your 5 skills that we need to learn. So they were strategic thinking, creative direction, AI literacy, ethical judgment, and orchestration and collaboration. And you wrote that for Salesforce.com in an article called 5 Agentic AI Marketing Skills You Need Right Now. And I'll include a link to that in the show notes. So I think we've covered it. And I know we were talking about whether, marketers are going to lose their jobs and all that kind of stuff. I think we've covered all of that. But what do you think is the next stage? What's the future? What's the next article you're going to write? What's not in that article when people read it?
I don't think the future is about marketers becoming coders. Mm-hmm. I mean, I say that sitting here going, well, why wouldn't everybody want to know how to code? Because but that's me. I'd also love to be able to, design a beautiful piece of digital art, which I can't. So that's okay. We can't all be excellent at everything, right? But it is about becoming leaders, right? Strategist, brand voice, ethical compass, all the stuff that we talked about. So I think for the marketers who take off their blinders or take their head out of the sand, whatever the idiom is, and really look at what it can do, for it being AI or Agentic AI can do for them. What's the biggest pain point? Every client we talk to and every client we work with is talking AI and agent, and we work with them on that. Is look at your workflow, first of all, which you should be doing anyways. And where are the gaps? Where are the lags? What's the biggest pain point? Or what are the biggest pain points? And of those, where can AI help? What is it that it can take off your plate? And keep in mind, change always slows things down initially, whether it's for a day or whether it's for a week or a month. But then you get that time back and more once it's in and working, right? So don't be afraid of having to slow down. Don't be afraid of it not working as well and things taking a dip. Be transparent, set expectations with your leaders if you're the one who's doing the execution. But I really think it's about the marketers who become the orchestrators, not the executors. Are the ones, I read it somewhere, AI runs the playbook, but we write it. Right? So write the playbook.
I like it. Yeah, and I think and I also think that all of your 5 ideas are also about how we keep the human in all of this, because I think that's what our audience, our buyers are going to want to see, and I think that's going to be a differentiator, isn't it? It's going to be, how can we efficiently keep the human in while making the most of AI to make things more efficient and be
AI gives us AI gives us more space for creativity and for audience empathy, right? It's less busy work and more brand building.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. I think that's a nice statement to close on. I think.
I know you love alliteration.
So what are you up to, Cathy? You said you're on the road next week. What's your first event?
I am. I'm heading to Chicago and then San Francisco for Salesforce. The week after, I'm speaking at Smash in Vegas. And then the following week, LA for Adobe Max.
Nice. All right. Yeah. And when people want to spin the dial on the interwebs, and I keep forgetting to do this with you, Cathy, where are they going to find you?
I am Cathy with a C McKnight on LinkedIn. I come up when you Google that. And then we are seventhbear.com. So you can check us out there.
All right. And then I'll see you in the studio in a month's time and I can find out about all these events you've been to.
Yeah, hopefully I'm awake.
I look forward to it. I'll see you then.
All right, thanks, Ian. Have a great day.
Thank you, Cathy. Always a pleasure to have Cathy in the studio, and a great topic there, finishing on the basic fundamental that technology, whatever kind, does not replace a good strategy and good operations. Good point. So that's a wrap on episode 291 of the Rockstar CMO effing marketing podcast. Thank you for dropping a dime into your podcasting jukebox and jiving along with us. I've been your host, Ian Truscott, and you can find links to me, Cathy, including the article we discussed there, our blog, newsletter, and all of our previous episodes in the show notes at rockstarcmo.com. Coming up for us here this week on Rockstar CMO, we have Robert back in the bar on Saturday, and Jeff will be back in the Rockstar CMO studio next Wednesday. So I look forward to that. And I hope you'll join us for some of that here on Rockstar CMO FM.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Robbie Samuels hosts the On the Schmooze podcast. Robbie, tell listeners what to expect from the show.
Since 2015, I've interviewed entrepreneurs who overcame challenges to achieve success in their field or industry. Tune in to On the Schmooze to listen as I ask deep questions to elicit untold stories about leadership and networking.
And where can people subscribe?
Find the show at ontheschmooze.com or on marketingpodcast.net, or just search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard them. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.